I brought in Charles and Nicola for this conversation. It's very timely. So a lot of times, Charles, we don't need to necessarily explain to our candidates what's a registration state, what's not a registration state, how does that affect them. But at this time of the year, we find that we're having that conversation. And so, and sometimes it gives them pause. Like, what's wrong with this franchise that they're quote unquote dark in my state and they can't talk to me right now? So thank you, Charles, for helping answer this question for all the candidates I'm working with right now that are kind of just in this waiting period.
It's Lisa, as you describe it, I never look at it from that perspective, right? I'm always looking at it from the franchisor perspective. And so I get it now. I could understand why a candidate's like, what do you mean they're dark? Why can't I sign the agreement? Or why are they saying I have to sign the agreement today, or I have to wait another number of weeks or months, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to hear from you. It's a little easier to help them understand that it doesn't mean a franchise is good, bad, or otherwise. And it doesn't mean their state is necessarily good, bad, or otherwise. Their state, I think a lot of people look at it like, well, my state's protecting me because of putting this extra hurdle. And so you help us understand a little bit what that means with those 17 states.
So for all of you out there, you're buying a franchise, you're working with Lisa, you're going through the process, and a couple of things will come up where Lisa will say, hey, it's now close to April 30th, or and we have some issues going on, which is number one, the franchisor advises us they can't close deals starting tomorrow, or the franchise, unfortunately, we're going to have to pause this deal, wait for them to get registered in the state, and then they're going to disclose you with the new FDD, and then we'll go forward from there. So as a franchise buyer, it's important to know a couple of things. One, when states register an FDD, the states, and there's really good regulators, but largely they're checking the form of the FDD to make sure there's disclosures or compliance with their state laws. So are they protecting you? Well, they're at an administrative regulatory level, at a level one, somewhat, but don't rely on the fact that a franchisor is registered as security or as a reason why to buy a franchise. The second is that understand that every franchisor needs to update their FDD every year, even if it's just nominal changes. They need to update their financial statements. And what happens is that most franchisors have to update their FDD by April 30th of every year.
Yeah.
A lot of franchisors will say, hey, I don't want to wait till that date. So I'm going to pick some time between February and April to issue my new FDD. And for registration states, apply to renew our registration. So you as a franchise buyer, if you're in a registration state, or you're going to locate your franchise business in a registration state, California, Illinois, New York, Washington, Maryland, Virginia, you need to know that there will be a point in time where a franchisor may say, we're going dark. And all that means is that the franchisor has issued their new FDD, but they can't sell to you and they can't disclose it to you until the state first registers or grants renewal. And it's an administrative process. So it doesn't mean the franchisor is bad. It just means they're waiting. And that's really what's going on here.
Right. And it slows down the process, which obviously no one likes as you're moving forward. Franchise buyers don't like it either. If they're getting into something that they're trying to get into business by a certain date on the calendar, then they're being told to stop. They don't like it. And so it's also, though, a matter of helping me explain it, especially when they're right in the middle. They just signed the FDD, they're having conversations, and now they're starting to hear franchise law, franchise registration lingo, that all of a sudden is one more thing to learn. And so I think it's important coming from an attorney to say this isn't necessarily a protection. It is a law. We cannot disclose until our new FDD has been approved by the state. And I think when you said it's an administrative step that automatically inserts, which means it's going to slow down. Like, no offense to the states out there that are a little bit slower, but the second we started introducing administrative government, we're going to have a little bit of a slowdown. And so I think I needed them to hear it from you that it's kind of normal in just some of those states. So
99% of the time, you can't infer anything negative from that slowdown. And just know for the franchise candidates and buyers out there, I represent franchisors. So I get the reverse conversation where the franchisor's sales team and development directors are, Charles, I have this great candidate. They want to get started. When are we getting registered? So there's tension on both sides. We're all going through this. It's for a greater good and it's all normal. So I wouldn't infer anything.
all right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa.